Welcome to my Pilates class. We will focus on the lower body today, so preparing the legs for some bifinning maybe, if you're into that. Doesn't matter if you're not. So focusing on leg strength, ankle flexibility, ankle strength and leg alignment, which is super important for fitting. If you haven't subscribed, please do now, and I hope you enjoy the class. Come on, let's get the buns on the mat. You will need a yoga block, or use a book, or a big cushion, or a rolled up towel. We're just going to work on some balance with the feet and just loosen the hip. So standing on your block, take a few breaths just to get relaxed. And when you're ready, transfer the weight onto the feet that's standing on the block, and then release the body to it. And we're just going to hip hike. So bringing them up to level and then dropping down to the floor. So there's a stretch here, and your foot is balancing to keep the back of the legs engaged and the front of the legs. So we'll do a few of those. Leg pendulums. So this is a loose. So the leg is just swinging. Keeping the balance on your block, you'll loosely swing the leg here. And then just in a couple of circles. And you should start to feel a burn through the back of the calf a little bit as your foot's trying to balance. So we're just waking up the bottom of the feet there. Opposite side. Take a few breaths, take a moment. Push the standing leg into the block, find your balance. And we hip drop, opposite of hip. Down to the floor. And try and keep the length and your crown pushing up to the sky. All those cues. You can see you feel the other leg trying to engage now. Bring the hips level and hip pendulums. Pendulums. Few circles here. Whoop. If you need a wall, please use a wall. We're just waking up destabilizing muscles in the legs. Good. You can remove your block. Shake it out. So you're going to lift the toes. And notice as you lift the toes, you're activating the arches of your feet. Yeah? So we're going to go into a squat. Lifting the toes and put them down. So hip width apart or a little bit wider. Feet a little bit turned out. So your hip bones are actually here. And whilst you're standing here, I want you to notice your feet heavy into the floor and activate the feet and push outwards into the sides of the feet. You feel some activation around here. So when we go into the squat, we are getting mobility in the ankle, the knees and the hips, which is great for our finning and just general function. And what we should do first is reach the arms forward, push the heels into the floor, and we're just going to hinge at the hip, reaching the arms forward. So you're feeling a stretch through the back of the legs. You don't have to go too far. We're reaching forward. Just hinging at the hips. Showing from the side. Feel the feet into the floor. Heels pressing down. And we push the bum out. So you notice as you're hinging forward, reaching forward, your sit bones are shining upwards. Reaching the chest forward. Shoulders down. Let's go into our squat. So feet a little bit wider than hip, wherever is comfortable for you. Reach the arms forward, shoulders down. You're not sure. Move them up and down a bit. So we're not pressing them down, they're naturally resting down. Get some length in the spine. Push the heels into the floor. And we're going to hinge at the hip. Yeah, you feel that first? Hinge at the hip. So your sit bones are trying to look upwards to the sky. The tailbone lifting. And then we start to bend the knees, keeping the chest lifted. So tits up. And you just go down to where it feels good. And then come back up. The key here is we want to use the glutes. We want to use those big leg muscles. And to keep it out of the lower back. So we need to keep the chest lifted and try and avoid the upper back from rounding. So tucking, shining your tailbone, your sit bones out to the world. So take an inhale, and as we exhale, push the feet into the floor. Feel that activation. Start to curl, open the sit bones, widen them, and as we bend, keeping the chest lifted. And just note where your knees are. If your knees are collapsing inwards, you want to activate the arches of the feet a bit more. So push the heels into the floor. Here we go. So we'll do that a few times. So we're going to do that 4 times. Take an inhale. So heels, hips, knees. Keep the chest lifted. And then squeeze. Push the heels and the outside of the foot into the floor as you come up to activate your nice big bum muscles. At the top. And then we go down again. Yeah, so you're pushing the mat apart as you go down, keeping the chest lifted, shoulders relaxed and down. Keep pushing that mat down apart as you go up and down. Heart talks this morning. Keeping the chest lifted. Show from the side. Pulling the mat apart with my feet. Your knees soft, reaching forward. Squeeze the buttocks as you go up. So if your hips are feeling a little bit tight, can't quite get into that, that's okay. So let's go into a wider, more sumo position. Have the foot a little bit turned out, not into a plie. And we'll go into sumo squat. So go down as far as you can. It's the same cueing. So we're pushing the mat apart, heels into the mat. Send your tailbone upwards, so the sit bone's shining outwards first. Soften the knees and we go down. Into your sumo. You can check and you see where your legs are, but keep your tits lifted. Tits up, squeeze, and then come down. Legs reaching, and then down. Going into your squat, we're here. Transfer the weight onto the left foot, and then we'll touch. So skaters, so keeping the chest lifted, feel the heel pushing into the floor. You should have a nice burn going through the back of the leg. Everything's waking up now, but keep the shoulders relaxed. Smile. Foot back, come out. Take an inhale, exhale. Hinge at the hips, soften the knees, keep the chest lifted, transfer the weight to the opposite foot. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, whoop, toe taps. Two more. Bring the feet in, balance the weight, push through the heels to come up. Okay, if your hips are feeling a bit tight, you can take your squat position a little bit wider. I'm going to go all the way down to the floor. So activate the feet, feel the resistance, start hinging at the hips, soften the knees, and continue down. Go as far as you can down. my knees crack. So from here, we're just going to have a bit of release for the hips. If you can't get your heels on the floor, open your legs a bit wider. So here in this position, you're opening your legs with your elbows, and I want you to squeeze the elbows together and activate your pelvic floor muscles whilst you're doing that. So we're doing that little squeeze on the inside. It's going to help release the hips. Let go count of 8. And release. Squeeze. Squeeze it all on the inside. Squeeze the knees together. So that once more. We've come back down to the floor. So we're going to sit on the feet here. If that is not comfortable, you can put a block here if you are a bit restricted in your ankles. And we'll just turn the toes, sit back. Do this 4 times. Bit of a stretch. From here, we're going to go to our back. Rolling down. Feet parallel. So we want to be focusing now on leg alignment. So knees in line with the hips, which is here. Yeah. So we start being aware of where our knees are in space. And we'll start rolling through some pelvic tilts here. So we're sending the tailbone to the floor and we're rolling it to the belly button. So we're just warming up the lower spine and the pelvis here. So forward and back, forward and back. When you're ready, take an inhale to roll away, and then when we exhale, have some nice openness, arms into the floor. Push the feet into the floor and we start curling up. So we're a sequential movement. Just go up to the tips of the shoulder blades. You should feel a lengthening here, heels into the floor, and we're waking up these muscles here. Take a breath at the top, we exhale and we peel down. So think about length when you're rolling through the spine, through the back of the pelvis. Do that once more. And take a note of your knees. What's happening? If your knees keep collapsing in, you can use a block for this. Block between the knees to keep that engagement. So sending the knees towards the ankles and the toes. You should feel a nice activation with the backs of the legs. Send the knees away, opening up here. Let's change the foot position. Heels together, like a dancer. And we're going to come up, keeping the feet on the floor, but the heels together, doing the same thing. And we should be, notice where you feel the activation should change a little bit. So we're pressing those heels down, rolling back down. So exhale as you roll up. Take a breath at the top, exhale as you roll down. So this time as we roll up, we come up to this position, lift the heels. And then keep the heels lifted as we roll down. You should feel your butt muscles really working. If your knees feel a bit strange, it's not feeling a bit awkward, bring the feet in a bit closer to the bum. Let's try that one again. So peeling up, so rolling the pelvis towards you. Lift the heels, keep them lifted. Squeeze the buttocks, push the heels together. Take an inhale as we exhale. Keep the heels lifted and roll down. And just move the knees through space. So we're just marching, but keeping the legs parallel whilst you do this. Okay, feet back on the floor. Check your feet and knees are parallel. And we'll go back up into our bridge. So take an inhale, and as we exhale, push the feet into the floor and start the movement from the bottom of the pelvis. So it's pelvic tilt first, and we're peeling up through the spine. Come up here. Feel this nice openness through the hip flexors and the work here. Now we're going to drop sand out of our pockets. Yeah. So we're releasing. So you push the left leg into the floor and drop this upper hip down. Yeah. See what's happening here? So we've got this rotation in the pelvis, but it's not going up into the shoulders. My shoulder blades are anchored onto the floor. So this rotation is good because you do have a little bit of hip rotation whilst you're finning. So the movement doesn't have to go all the way up into the shoulders. So this is a good disassociation to see what the pelvis does and just let it work. Because the hips are going to rock because your thigh bones go into the hips. So this will help give you more control and power. And then let's roll down a vertebrae. Yeah, and we're just dropping sand on the floor, like you're trying to empty sand out your pockets. And you have to really work the opposite heel into the floor to get the control. And then just look at your knees and notice the tracking. Make sure they're parallel. And then roll down another few vertebrae. And this is a great little spine warmer upper. Get some rotation. Woo! Should be feeling quite warm now. Okay, so place the hands behind the knees. Push the feet, send them to the floor, and you're going to peel up here. And we want to come all the way up, to send the feet all the way up to the floor. So you're pushing the thigh bones into the hands. Come up into your assisted roll-up position here. We're going to roll back down, but we're going to stay in that upper chest curl lifted position. So hands behind the knees. Let's roll from the pelvis first. I have another video on this, actually, if you have want to know more about pelvic curls. So release the pelvis here. So lower spine first. When your arms are straight, trace the toes on the floor and just roll back, so we're into this position here. Now we're focusing on leg alignment to keep lifted. I want you to take this hand on the inside knee and the outside hand on the outside shin. And use this position here to help pull you up. Keep the shoulders away from the ears a bit further. If you have good flexibility and you're feeling good, lengthen the leg out. So we're getting a nice stretch on the hip flexor, pointed toes, and keep just a long line through the leg. And we squeeze up here, and then let's switch. Inside hand, top of the knee, outside hand, bottom of the shin. And the same. So reaching long. So look at your legs whilst you're doing this. You can exhale. Inhale to switch, and exhale as you pull. Look at your legs. What are they doing? We want alignment and length. So you're trying to touch the wall with your toes. So reaching long. There's no bend in the knee. Unless you're restricted, of course. So do this twice more. 1, 2. Come up to legs lifted. Place the hands on one leg or here, wherever your flexibility allows, and drop this other leg to scissors. So we're getting a stretch. Use a leg to help to come up to get more of a stretch. So exhale here, switch. Again, leg alignment. Look at your legs. What are they doing? 2 more. Keep the legs up here. Bend the knees. Curl down. Woo. Oh. Long, beautiful legs. So release the neck from side to side. And place the feet back onto the floor. Arms into the floor here. I'm going to come back up into our bridge again. So take an inhale. Push the feet into the floor, and as we exhale, start rolling through the pelvis and send the knees towards the feet, and we're back up into our bridge position. Whilst we're up here, take the arms up on an inhale, and as we exhale, let the arms drop. Keep the hips lifted. And as we exhale, leave the arms here, and we'll peel down the spine so we get a nice stretch through there. Bring the arms back down. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, we'll do that once more. Let's peel up into our bridge. Shoulder blades still on the floor, so we're getting a little mobility in the top of the spine. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, reach the arms behind you. If they don't go all the way to the floor, that's okay. And as we exhale, let's lengthen down. Bring the arms. Let's go back up into the bridge. So check your feet position. You might want to bring them a bit closer. Check your knees are parallel. Take an inhale and curl through the pelvis. Send the knees away. We're back up into our bridge. Feel what your arms are doing. Anchor them into the floor. Feel the heels pressing into the floor. The glutes should be activated and you're getting a stretch here. Now let's work that leg. So take your left leg and press it into the floor. Yeah, notice that. So find that stability in the left leg. We're going to keep the hips level here, and I want you to raise the opposite knee. So we'll do a few dead bugs here with the hips lifted. So the idea is we're keeping this all stable. So your glute is having to really work here. We'll do a few this side, and then we'll place it back down. We're keeping this nice and long here. Opposite leg. Push the right leg into the floor, and let's float up the left knee. So we'll do some arcs with the femur here, femur arcs. Keep the tension out your shoulders. Relax, press the heels into the floor and lay that down. Keep the hips lifted. If you're tired, go down and have a break. If not, keep the hips lifted. Let's take it up a notch. Take a breath. Push the left leg, the foot into the floor. Find that connection with the floor. Let's float up the opposite leg and then straighten the leg. Nice and long, toes pointed. As we exhale, I want you to reach the toe to the floor as far as you can, keeping that hip lifted and up. You can do a variation. You can flex the foot as well. Got toes pointed. This is what we want for our finning. Woo! Place the opposite leg down. You should feel a nice burn in that leg now. Transfer the weight to the opposite leg. Keep the hips lifted. Relax the shoulders. Lift up that leg. And then reach long. Point the toe. You're trying to lengthen your leg out of the hip socket. And you're protecting and lifting your spine using the opposite leg. Exhale to drop down. Bend the knee, peel back down. Woo! Femur circles. Good job. That's not easy. So from here, hands behind the knees. We're going to assisted roll up. My feet don't feel on the end. And from here, we're going to roll down. So you can bend the knees if you need to. So try and sit forward of the sit bones here. And the same as what we do with the bridging. Curl through the pelvis, reach the arms. Oh, my mat's going forward. And then come down. Take an inhale as we exhale, bring the arms up. You take the gaze and the head up with the arms, and then we roll forward. And you can have a little stretch here. Whilst we're here, place the foot on the floor. We can do a little bit of a leg stretch here. So using the hands as a resistance, just below the knee. We're going to push the heel in and we're going to resist. So exhale into it. This is good to do with bands as well. So hands behind the knee here. Press that heel up into the sky. Keep both hips on the floor, so the back of the pelvis should be on the floor here. Push that heel away. Bring both knees up, hands behind the knees, and we're going to come up into a side lying position. So press the thighs into the hands, and let's roll up. Oh, good. Side lying. Let's check I've got some room. If you are in this position, I would suggest using a pillow. So we're going to start with the knees in 1990 here, and we want to check where our hip is. So we want some length in this top. So imagine yourself, if you're squashed between two walls or two panes of glass, you're stacked, your hips are stacked, your rib cage is evenly stacked. And this will be our opposite arm will just be relaxed into the floor here. So let's bring up this top leg. So we're thinking about parallel legs always. And we're just going to move, bring the knee towards you, and then arc the thigh bone around. So we're trying to open up here, but without losing the control of the core and your nice stacked hips. So nothing's collapsing. And we'll just keep moving this. It takes a lot more control. So bring the knee in. Push this opposite leg down into the floor. See how far you can take it back. Do that once more. Bring the leg forward. And this time we're going to lengthen. Yeah, so try and check in with yourself. If your ribs are expanded, try and draw them in a bit more. So we're protecting the spine. So now, like we were doing with the straight legs, toes pointed, we're creating a big arc with the toes. So try and keep that leg lifted in the same position of the floor. And we're just swinging it back and forth without losing, I've got a pole in the way, your nice position on the floor. So keep the core and trunk in the same position, the hip stack. And we're trying to lengthen the hip flexor here, activating that glute to bring the leg round, which you want for your finning. But keeping it in the same plane, moving in the same space. What we can do here is bend the knee at the back, and then we bring it forward. So again, we're not collapsing, we're keeping it stacked. So reaching back, bend the knee, I've got a pole in the way, bring the knee forward, and then reach. So scooping out, bend, you'll feel a nice stretch here, and then reach. Do that once more. It's kind of a bicycle, I guess. That should feel pretty good. From here, come up on your elbow a little bit more. So these are the mermaid clamshells. So with this arm, we don't want this. Although you can stay here for a little bit, and let's breathe into these ribs whilst we're here actually. So we've got this lazy collapse, but the ribs are exposed, so this is a nice way to breathe just into that area. But we're going to push the elbow out, pretending there's, something nice to look at. Oh, yeah. So elbow joint is under the shoulder. To place the hand on the floor here. We've got the same thing here, so see what's going on. Readjust yourself. Sometimes you have to manually touch yourself to put you in the right place. So clamshells, feet together. Ah, yes. So bring the heels in a bit more here. So you can have a hand on the hip here, or on the floor, whatever feels good. So, heels together, and we're just going to open. We'll actively squeeze your clamshell as you're closing. Two more of these. Now, flex at the ankles here and open them so that it's level. And this is the It's called the fire hydrant. You can have a guess why it's called fire hydrant. Might be something to do with dogs peeing. Yes. Open the legs. And now keeping the thigh bone where it is, we're going to rotate the knee down. That should feel quite nice. So we're getting some movement into that thigh bone, into that femur. Waking up lots of things here. Rotating down. Remember to keep lifted here. When the knee is in this position, we're going to push the foot away and back down. So squeeze and push. Squeeze and push. Oh yeah. So we're really getting into the hips here, so this is great for your hip health. This is going to help with your balance and finning as well, waking up all those other muscles. And then when we come out, we're going to do some pulsing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give that a tap. If that's not burning, then girl, you ain't working right. Okay, lengthen that leg out. Beautiful long legs again. Check your posture, you're not sunk in, and you're stacked. And let's do some circles. So really anchor through the bottom line of your body. Circles. There should be the residual burn still here, and then some circles. So you're searchlighting. A little hip socky here. Pointing that toe, and then release. This should feel pretty good. Woo. Okay. So still supported on this ankle, we're going to stack the feet. And this is good for the strength on the outside of your foot. And we're going to go into assisted start. So we're just lifting the hips here. So you can experiment first before we go up. But imagine, so you're pushing that arm into the floor, and the arm bone is getting sucked into the shoulder joint. You can leave a hand on the floor for support if you want to, or you can put the hand behind your head. So we're going to go here. So we're tightening up this bottom line of the body, and you're getting some weight into that bottom ankle and that bottom foot. And just hold here as long as you can. Let's go for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then gently lower yourself down. Hiya! Shake it out. Whew. Okay, you ready for the next side? I don't know if I'm ready for the next side. So we're going our side lying position here. Use a pillow if you need to. Bend the knees. Okay, so we're just going to do our arcs. So pointing the toes. Check where your hips are nice and stacked, and there's length in that top waist there. There should be a gap just under here. Check your ribs aren't splayed out too much, so maybe exhale. So we're just helping support the spine here. Lift up the legs, so keeping all this nice and quiet. We're just going to point the toe here, and we're just going to move the leg nice and controlled through space. You are going to control it, making contact with the bottom leg into the floor to help control. Noticing a stretch here. See how far you can go without losing the lovely hip stacking you have. So bring it forward and back. Parallel legs. The knee and the ankle should be the same. Sometimes it's good if you've got a little friend that kind of manually manipulates your body for you, lets you know where you are. Because when you're finning in the water, you've got no feedback. You're not pushing off against anything, so it's hard to tell where your legs are And you always have this image that, you know, yeah, I look pretty sexy, my legs look amazing, and you look at your finning back on the video and it doesn't. Massive kick, you know, bent knees. Okay. All right, so let's lengthen out that top leg. So try not to collapse here too much. Keep this length here. So recheck in if you need to. Lengthen, and we're going to reach long as far as you can. I've got a pole in the way, which is a bit annoying. So we're contracting here. We're waking up those butts. You need your butts to walk, to fin, to run, to do everything. So bring it forward. Okay, so we're going to bend to go back. And lengthen to come forward. So this is a bit of a reverse bicycle. I've got a bloody pole in the way. So you get the idea. Lengthen out when it's at the back. And then arc forward. And we can do it the opposite way as well. So reaching back, then we bend. So we're getting a stretch here. Yeah, enjoy that stretch. Lengthen this out. And then we bring the knee forward bent, and then we stretch here. So we're getting a stretch here. And then we reach long. So when you're finning, you've got to imagine you're trying to touch the ocean floor with your toes. That's how much length you want with your legs. If you keep your toes pointed and think about length, you're trying to reach the bottom of the floor, you're going to get straighter legs naturally, and you're going to engage your butt muscles every time you point your toes. It's important to remember. All right, so from here, if I remember rightly, and come up onto the arm. So elbow under your shoulder and just collapse. So we've got this nice lung exposed here. Let's take 4 deep breaths into this lung and these bottom ribs here. Nice. But we're going to push the floor away with the elbow. So we're supported, because you want that scapula really close to the rib cage, which is going to support your shoulder girdle. So we're up here. Let's check our stacking. Bring the feet in a bit more. We've got this 90-90 position here. So watch these ribs here. So you can put the hand where you want to. I'm just going to do some clamshells. Warming up. Squeeze as you close. This is good to do with bands as well. Or if you've got a Pilates ball, you can give that a squeeze. Or the ring, the Pilates ring. Just waking up those muscles here. Alright, so now we come up and we're doing our hydron. The dog going for a pee. It's beautiful. I like to call this a sexy mermaid, although mermaids can't really open their legs, but you get the idea. So we're starting to work into here now. You should really feel that. Keep it relaxed here, but keep yourself nice and supported. Check in. Just breathe naturally. Try and breathe through the nose, in and out. Just breathe the rhythm that feels good for you, what your body needs. You don't have to overcomplicate it. We're not doing intense squats, barbell squats here. Okay, so keep the leg lifted and the knee down. And we'll bring the knee down, so keeping the ankle higher than the knee. So we're getting some nice rotation into the hip socket here. So this is good. Just feel the burn starting to come in. Let's do 2 more of those. And then bring the knee down. Okay, now we're going to send the heel away. Ooh, and down. There it is. There it is. You cannot tell me you're not feeling this right now. Right in. Right in the buttocks there, that one. Okay, the next time the leg's out, we're going to now do some pulsing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I did 15. 3, 4, 5. Give that a tap. Woo! That's good. Okay, so we did our assisted star here. If it is a bit difficult, you can do this, but the reason I want to do the star here, because I want to put a bit more pressure on the ankles from a different direction, so stacking, so we're strengthening the outside of the foot and the outside sideline of the body here. So check your stack position here. You can use the hand to assist you, feet on top of one another. So imagine you're straightening out a clothesline. Whoop, here. Yep, so get a feel for it, bend the knees, come back down. So we're sandwiching the feet together and we're pushing. We're trying to separate, lengthen the body from the outside here, pushing the mat away. So this is good for your ankle. Hand behind the head. And this helps to push the head into the back of the hand, so we're getting a better position with the spine. So take an inhalation, use the exhale to lift. Arm up, nice and open across the chest. Noticing your core muscles starting to engage. Start actively pressing the feet into the floor and lengthening. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend the knees, come back down. Oh, that's nice. From here, let's roll onto your front. Make sure you've got some room. Relax the head into the hands here and just release the hips here. Lengthen the leg. Now, lift your head so the elbows are pushing down into the floor. So this helps the shoulder blades stay close to the rib cage. And you'll feel your ribs. The ribs are into the floor. This is a relaxed position here. We're just going to wake up the back line of the legs a bit more, just to see how it feels to lift the leg, using your glutes more to keep the leg straight. So we're going to be doing a straight leg lift from the back. So take your right foot, press the toes into the floor, and try and send the heel backwards. You'll notice the leg straightens. So let's do that a few times. The leg straightens and squeeze your glute very slightly on that side. Do that a few times. Now the toes are in the floor, the heel's pushed away. I want you to keep the leg lifted, with the thigh should be off the floor. Now turn the toes. Do you feel what happens there? The glute activates to do that. So bend it back and put it down. Let's do that once more. So toes press into the floor, send the heel away, straighten the leg out, start to contract. Turn the toes to pointed and the leg should be at the same position still. Notice how your leg is straight and notice what muscles are activated there. Your glutes, your glutes, your glutes, your glutes, your glutes, your glutes. So when you're kicking, most people don't kick further enough back with a straighter leg. So keeping the toes pointed. So just notice that feeling. Keep the hips pressing into the floor. So you should feel your hip bones. So you're pressing a pubic bone into the floor. This is going to keep the lower back long. So you shouldn't be feeling any compression in the lower back. We don't want that. So a little bit of pressure into the floor with the hip bones. And use your glutes to lift the leg. And then lay it down. Woo. Let's do the opposite side. So relax that right leg. Take your left leg. Turn the toes. Send the heel away and straighten the leg. And then soften the knee and straighten the leg. And just start to recognize, what's it feel like to have a straight leg? Because a lot of people don't know what it feels like. They say straighten your leg and it's not straight. So this is good, a good awareness exercise. So push the heel away so we've got that straightness. You should notice now the thigh bone is off the floor. Add a bit of weight through your hip bones. Press the pelvis, your pubic bone, into the floor a little bit there. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Now turn the toes. Notice, you feel those glutes firing up, yeah? This is good. Turn the toe and relax. Do that again, toes into the floor. Straighten the leg, send the heel away. Now we turn the toes, keep the leg lifted. Good. Now lift the leg a little bit higher. Keeping the compression out of the lower spine. Let's push the pelvis, the pubic bone into the floor a bit more, so a bit more anchored. There's no tension in the top of the body. and let the glutes work. Feel that fire up. Woo! That is good. So let's do some heel beats from here. So back into this supportive position. Elbows under the shoulders. So we're not this, we're this. So the chest is lifted, just looking forward. Your rib cage will be off the floor here. And press the hips into the floor a little bit, notice a difference. And feel like there's a feeling of a slight zipping up of your front core muscles, like you've got a corset being zipped up from the front. So this is going to support the lower spine. So we're using those front body muscles to help support your lower spine. Okay, let's lift up one leg, lift up the other. So now you should have your pubic bone and your hip bones onto the floor. And we're just going to heel beat. And that's it. So your glutes are contracted. If you're feeling it in your lower spine a little bit, think about length, sending the tailbone away if you can, but kind of using your core muscles a bit more to help support the spine. And then release. Oh, soften all that. Give it a shake. One of my favourite exercises is swimming. So we've done our single leg lifts from behind here. So from this position, take the arms out into front of you, keep the head lifted, your ribs will be on the floor, you'll notice your pubic bone, so pushing that away to lengthen out the lower spine, so like the tailbone is trying to come down as well. Take your right arm and lift it. Now reach out your left leg. Remember, we lift with length, so you reach out through the toes, then lift, so the glutes activated here. Put that down. Left arm, right leg. Yeah. And let's just work through that. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Your core's not moving here, so you're not getting any compression into the spine. The next time the right arm and the left arm's up, let's lift up both. And now let's swim. Opposite arm, opposite left. So we're reaching long, reaching the arm out through the arm socket, reaching the legs, moving out through the pelvis. 10 more. And then reach and hold. Think about length. Activate those glutes. Come back down. Woo! That's good. So good for your filling. This is going to give you the back support you need. So push the hands under the shoulders. And then come back into your child pose. Woo! Have a lovely wiggle here. Let's do a little bit of extension. Let's go into our swan. So hands under the shoulders. Lengthen out the back of the spine, so a little bit of weight through the pelvis. As you inhale, take the gaze forward. Then as you exhale, you start to push the hands into the floor. We're rolling up through the front body. And we'll come up to this arms extended position. The upper thighs should be off the floor. And really pull in those core muscles to help support your spine. So we're thinking about length. Try and loosen your buttocks, over tense them. And then as we exhale, keeping the elbows close to the body, bend the elbows and we peel down the front of the spine, adding length as we go. That's pretty good. We'll do that once more. Take an inhale, take the gaze forward. As we exhale, push the hands into the floor. Roll up through the front line. Watch where your shoulders are. And use the core to support your lower spine. And as we peel down, we're adding length. Woo. Okay. Into your child pose. Open the knees a little, and we're just going to work like a cat. So from side to side. So rolling, releasing. When we're ready, let's push into our plank position. Here. So hands under the shoulders and try and think about lifted sternum. So remember, the shoulder blades are close to the rib cage. Use your core muscles and keep the hips a bit more lifted. And let's just roll through the ankles here. Forward and back. And then around some circles and the opposite way. So we'll do some leg lifts. So shift the weight into the left foot and then we'll release this leg. I'm going to do 6 of these. So keeping the core supported, pushing the mat away with your arms, your hands. 6 of those. Turn the foot, opposite leg. Keeping the leg straight. Bend the foot, and then there's push back. Keep the knees soft. Check your knees are tracking. Rolling inwards, outwards, nice and hip width parallel. So you bend the knees and just go trying to put your heels down and just pushing the mat away. Just create some length. Just breathe and relax. From here, with this long straight spine, you can try and put the ankles down, the heels to the floor. Woo! I have a very tight back body, so I'm not overly flexible, so I have to work my calves quite a lot. So putting them down, and then we can just roll forward. A good one, which I enjoy for ankle strength. If you're tired, have a little rest. When we come back into our prone position here, if you want work for the feet, you can turn the toes and gently walk. Good ankle conditioning. I will work up to that one. So sitting back on the knees and on the ankles. Push your way over the mat. You can have a little ankle stretch here. Turn the toes. And sit back. Just go where it feels good. And roll back into squats. You can get your heels down. Whew. Okay, so we're winding down now. So thinking about ankles still. Bringing this foot forward here, under the knee. And we want to try keeping the heel on the floor, bring the knees far forward as we can do. Go where your range allows, don't force it, but we're thinking about knee tracking over the middle of the foot. And support yourself. Use blocks if you need to. And notice where you have some restrictions. From here, turn the back toe. Keep the hips level and in line. We're going to resist this arm into this knee. I'm going to do a side bend. So the opposite arm goes up. Take an inhale and then we exhale. Pushing that resistance. Knees going into the floor, foot's into the floor, arm is in. Shoulders away from the ears. Take a couple of breaths. You should feel that side waist getting a nice stretch. Do that once more. That's pretty good. I do like that stretch. Opposite leg. Okay. Bring the knee in. So we're thinking about keeping this heel on the floor. and my ankle flexibility, so mobility here. This ankle always feels a little bit more restricted than the other one. So, and in this position, I'm pushing the foot into the floor to give a little bit of resistance and push away. Come up into your kneeling position here. Foot flexed. This arm's going to resist into this knee. So we get height first, length from the spine, really lengthen here. Take an inhale, push that opposite arm into that knee, and we bend over, but the hips aren't moving. Couple of breaths. Send that bottom knee into the floor. There's resistance all the way through your body, and release. Do that once more. Inhale up, exhale over. And you should have a nice stretch down through the front of that hip flexor. Knee pushing forward into the floor, reaching, resisting against the knee. And you finish. Take a moment to relax. Maybe use one of my videos. I have some good relaxation videos to have a wind down and some meditation. Well done, we've worked the legs. Let me know how you get on, which exercises you enjoy, what's your favourite exercise, and what's really helped with your sort of finning technique as well, with your cross training. Alright, thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!